Hello, everyone. I would like to thank you all very much for attending today's webinar, the 70-20-10 Learning Mixed Journey. Your Cogno moderators today are Pia Bernardo, Cogno's training consultant, and myself, Kat Amato, the marketing director at Cogno. If you have any questions or any training needs that we can help you with, please feel free to contact us directly at info@cogno.com. And either Pia or myself will be more than happy to help you. Now, as a thank you, we would like, for attending today's webinar, we are offering everyone an exclusive discount off of any of the courses available in our marketplace from today's host, VADO. Simply use the coupon code you see on your screen, 70-20-10, at checkout to apply the 30%. After today's event, we will also be emailing everyone the discount code so that you can take advantage of the exclusive 30% savings on all of the VADO courses, as well as share it with your colleagues who were unable to attend today's event. Also included in the email will be a link to the webinar's recording that will be also posting on our YouTube channel. I also want to mention that Cogno has a very robust training platform, aka LMS, available to each of you at no cost. Now, some of the many features and functions of the training platform include the ability to upload your own internal training documents, processes and procedures. You can add groups and then add your learners into the groups, distribute training to your learners, track training progress, run reports, and view certificates of completion. Now again, this is available to you all at no cost. Simply leave your email or a message in the chat feature of your GoToMeeting panel on the right side of your screen toward the bottom, and I'll send you information after the webinar and get you all set up. Now today we're very proud to have with us Cindy Pascale, the CEO and co-founder of VADO. And Cindy has over 16 years of HR training and development and OD leadership training experience, and 12 years running talent management, development, and assessment companies. Cindy is the author of the 70-20-10 guide, Structure of the 70%, and owner of the 70-20-10 LinkedIn discussion group. So it is with great pleasure that we welcome Cindy today. Welcome, Cindy.
Thanks, Kat, and thank you everyone who's attending for taking time out of your schedule to learn more about 70-20-10 and hear about two different VADO clients in their 70-20-10 journey. So a little bit more about me. As you heard Kat talk about my background, I am one of the co-founders of VADO, and 5 years ago when we started the company, we really set out to change the face of learning. The other co-founder and I really wanted to solve the problem of training employees, training managers, and then seeing very little change in their on-the-job performance. We have confidence in employees and managers that they really want to improve their performance. They just don't know how to apply traditional training on the job. And we knew that there was a better approach, a more effective approach. And we did research, and we really have applied that research to our courses and have a more effective instructional design. So here's what we're going to cover today. I should have advanced to the title page for this webinar. Sorry about that. I'm a slide behind. Actually, make that 2 slides behind. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to talk about the pros and cons of traditional e-learning. We're going to talk about what the heck is this 70-20-10, the benefits of it. We're going to talk through 2 different client examples from Toshiba and Stericycle, and then we're going to wrap up with 5 best practices. And if you have questions as we go through this content, you know, go ahead and put it in the chat function, and we'll make sure we address it. And you know, Kat, if you don't mind letting us know when we've got, or letting me know when we have a question, that'd be great. So when thinking about traditional e-learning, you might be thinking about some typical pros that you would hear. It's learner control, it's quick, it's cost effective. And some typical cons might be that it's disconnected from the job, it's uninspiring because some courseware, a lot of courseware is just PowerPoints with voiceover. It can be isolating because you're doing it by yourself. And the biggest one is small return on investment. And it's that one, that con that really led me to do research about, what makes more effective e-learning courseware. And actually, there are a number of thought leaders that have done that research for us. And they really look at developing people, developing employees, developing managers, and not just training employees. There's a difference there, training versus development. And that led us to start thinking more about 70-20-10. So what is it? Quite simply, it's a learning mix. And what that learning mix is that 70% of learning is experiential. It's on the job, it's experience, it's doing. 20% of learning is social learning, and that includes mentoring, coaching, simply asking your peer, hey, how did you figure that out? What did you do? And then that last 10% is your formal learning. It's your instructor-led workshops. It's your e-learning courseware. It's books that you might read. It's those kind of formal training avenues. And if you think about it, this learning mix really is intuitive. We grew up with parents and teachers and coaches telling us, practice taking the shot, practice your piano. In my case, practice your mathematics. And I heard that, you hear that over and over. And your coaches, your teachers, your parents kept saying those kind of things because they knew that if you practiced taking the shot, you would get better at it. And it's just the same with job competencies and skills. Bottom line, formal training, the 10% plays a very small part in the overall development of employees, with experience on the job playing the majority of development. And my very first experience with 70-20-10 was my first job. I worked at a Dairy Queen. And on the first day, my manager said to me, the most important thing you need to learn is how to make the signature DQ swirl. He showed me how to do it, and he pointed out all the minor movements that are needed to be made in order to make that loop. And then he handed me controls. I was nervous. I was a 16-year-old girl, but he assured me, if you practice, you're gonna be able to do this. And he was right. After several attempts, I was able to create that signature swirl that still to this day sits on top of every DQ cone. And without giving it a name, my manager had me develop on the job. 70-20-10, topic of today's webinar. Charles Jennings, he's probably one of the more premier thought leaders on 70-20-10, and he comments that 70-20-10 is a framework. It focuses us into a mindset of extending learning solutions beyond classes and courses and out into the workflow. It creates great opportunities to leverage work for learning and to bring learning closer to work. As the workflow is where the majority of learning happens, refocusing there is not only a sensible approach, but it's an effective one as well. He goes on to explain, adults in work learn through the opportunity to practice, and then practice again, and then practice again, through establishing and exploiting networks and rich conversations, through regular reflective practice alone or with others. So what are the benefits of 70-20-10? First one is cost savings. According to the 70-20-10 forum, organizations have reported up to a 75% reduction in training and what they spend on training through the introduction of the 70-20-10 framework. And please do not get me wrong, I'm not advocating reducing the amount of money you spend on training and development. Rather, I'm advocating for a better return on your investment. So if you are leveraging the natural way a person develops, you will have a higher return on your development budget. You're going to see increased employee performance, which will lead to an increase in organizational performance. And that's where you're going to get your return on your investment. So is 20-70-10 happening? Given the benefits of 70-20-10, our company's moving to deliver development on the job. according to a recent research report published by Lumet called Achieving the Right Learning Mix, the answer is no. In fact, their research shows that the average learning mix is 49, 26, 25, and that that's coming from learning and development professionals. So the majority of learning is still on the job. So all of this leads us to ask, how can we influence the informal learning that already is taking place? How can we leverage and harness the obvious power of informal learning? In an article titled The Difficulties of Learning from Experience and the Need for Deliberate Practice, David Day comments that a potential risk to relying on experience as a primary means of development is that any learning from experience in the context of ongoing work would likely be happenstance and ad hoc at best. Which leads us to our first quiz. Kat, do you want to talk about the quiz?
Sure. We have a pop quiz for today with a winning course for the first person who's able to answer correctly. And the question is, what is 70-20-10? So you can put your answer in the chat panel of your GoToMeeting panel on the right side of your screen for a chance to win a free course. We'll just pause just a minute so you can think about that again. From what Cindy's already covered, what is 70-20-10?
Should we be like in other contents, if no one has the right answer within a certain amount of time, we kind of share a clue?
Let's share it.
Okay. So with that, I'm actually going to, anyone? Do we have takers yet? What do I see there?
So if you think you know the answer to what is 70-20-10, just drop it into the chat feature of the GoToMeeting panel. If you're the first person with the correct answer, you will be winning a free course from VADO.
You're looking at the screen. Does anyone want to win? Should we just share the answer then, Kat?
Sure. Okay. So, Cindy, what is the answer to what is 70-20-10? We have no takers at this point on the chat feature. So,
it's a learning mix. It's a formula of how people learn and develop, really more develop than learn, and it's how you become good at something. First, you have to learn it, which is training, which is part of that formal learning space. And then you have the 20%, which is being mentored or coached or consulting with your colleagues and peers. And then you have the 70%, which is doing. And people get good at a skill or a competence by doing it. And I always think, think about some of the complex competencies you need in your everyday negotiation, problem solving. People get good at those kind of things by doing it and practicing and doing it over and over, and you'll see your skill level go from introductory novice to intermediate to mastery, and that happens through practice. It happens by doing it. So with that, let me advance the slides, and we'll move on to some client examples. The first one is Toshiba. And Toshiba is using the 70-20-10 model in their leadership development program. So a little bit about the program. It's for 2,300 managers across 45 countries. and it's mandatory to complete within 18 months of being promoted into a leadership position. And they really built this program around a new mission, values, and behaviors. And the end result they were looking to achieve was to create a new culture. And they developed the leadership development program to shift leadership behaviors from really transactional, command and control, leader focus, to transformational, which they described as enabling and empowering, follower focused. And they really believe in what they call the 3 E's of learning, which match up really nicely to 70-20-10. They just say it a little bit different. Education is the formal learning, and in this case it's the e-learning course. Exposure is the social learning piece, and for Toshiba what they do there is they do job shadowing, cross-functional teams, and mentors. And then on the experience side, for them, that's the on-the-job portion. It's doing, it's practicing. And they chose VADO's e-learning courses to be included in their leadership development program because our courses address both the 10% and the 70%. And actually, out of our courseware, only a small percentage of the time that you're taking the course, only a small percent of that 10% is in the 10%. Excuse me, I said that wrong. So the 19 courses that they chose from VADO, we mapped or aligned to their behaviors. And our courses combine short instructional videos and then specific step-by-step instructions on how to apply the course on the job. And so for those 19 courses that Toshiba chose, a total of they total approximately 45.5 hours to complete, and that completion time is inside. It's a combination of being inside the e-learning course as well as on the job, an exercise to complete on the job. And how that breaks out for those 19 courses, only 3 hours is spent completing the e-learning course. The remaining time, that 42.5 hours, is spent on the job completing the exercise. And that means, the majority of the time is spent doing and following the step-by-step instructions. So for them, what they were hoping to accomplish was a culture change. And they had one manager say that the courses gave them permission to apply the instructions, the exercise, on the job and do their jobs differently. And I thought that was a very interesting quote from a particular learner. If you think about culture change, giving your managers permission to do things differently is a very striking comment. And they feel their development program has been a great success, and they're seeing the changes that they wanted. Another example is Stericycle. Not a household name like Toshiba, so let me explain who they are. They're a medical, pharmaceutical, hazardous waste disposal company. They have 18,000 employees located throughout North America. And like Toshiba, they're using 70-20-10 in their leadership development program. They started with developing a set of competencies that they wanted all leaders in all locations to demonstrate. And they looked at their current development, and they saw a gap in both the 70% and the 20%. And again, that 20% is the social learning part. And traditionally, when employees went through training, what they found is that those learners often didn't apply the training on the job, which from my own experience in HR and training and development, that was a big gap. A lot of training is not applied on the job. And secondly, they found that a person's manager didn't follow up or ask about the training. And they wanted to encourage both that application of the training on the job and that relationship between the manager and the learner to have more active discussions around the learner's development. So the solution, Stericycle and VADO, they're using our courses mapped to their competency model. The learners complete the video portion of the course. Then the learner implements the first step. Upon completion of the first step, the learner discusses the implementation with the manager. And utilizing a checklist functionality in their LMS platform, the manager checks off or approves that the learner completed the step. Same process is repeated for step 2, step 3, and all other steps within the course through completion. 45 days after the course is completed, the LMS sends a survey or an assessment to the learner's team and the manager. And it really is asking questions on if the learner's on-the-job behavior has improved. The L&D leader has been has received very positive feedback on our courses designed to apply on the job and promote that interaction between the learner and the learner's manager. They also received very good feedback on the use of technology to streamline that process. So let's wrap this up with 5 best practices for your 70-20-10 journey. And the first one is structure the 70%. And to do that, you want to provide specific instructions for on-the-job implementation, rather than rely on simulations or exercises inside a workshop or inside an e-learning course, which is still part of that 10%. You want to provide learners with instructions on how to apply the course on the job. That eliminates the most common obstacle encountered in 70-20-10, which is how to make sure the learner is getting the right experiences on the job and that development is not happenstance and ad hoc. Best practice number 2, keep your courses short and with one distinct learning objective per course. That allows your learners to select the exact course to meet their individual need. When too many topics are addressed at the same time, the learner wastes time getting to the point in the course that applies to their particular need. And really, no one has patience for wading through information and wasting their time. Third best practice is around job aids. Provide your learners with job aids they can use on the job in conjunction with the step-by-step instructions. Job aids make it easy for the learner to complete the exercise, and it removes barriers to completing the exercise. You want to help your learner start and finish that on-the-job exercise. The fourth best practice is mobile. To help your learners complete the instructions on the job, the learning content and the step-by-step instructions need to be optimized for the mobile learner and be accessed on every handheld device. Again, keep those barriers to a minimum. And the fifth best practice is around self-assessment. Most e-learning courseware ends with the quiz, and those quizzes measure knowledge. And that's really appropriate for formal training. However, if you're designing courses that provide structure for the 70%, adding an assessment that asks the learner to reflect on his or her experience and the skill-building activities, encourage the learner to think about the next time I do this, the next time I'm in this similar situation, what am I going to do differently? How am I going to continue to improve and develop? Today's e-learning is changing the face of learning. It structures the 70%, it's short, it's bite-sized, it's mobile, and it's in high definition. And VADO is offering, we have 325 or more courses specializing in management development, employee soft skill development, short, chunked, bite-sized learning modules that really help development on the job. If you're interested in continuing your understanding of 70-20-10, you're invited to download our 70-20-10 guide on how to structure the 70%. You're invited to join our LinkedIn discussion group called 70-20-10, Structure the 70. We have a very active discussion group that you can join and participate, ask questions. You'll get a lot of feedback. Second quiz. Kat, what do you say we offer both prizes again?
All right.
So
that's
right.
A great idea. Did you want to do that so if 2 people have the correct answer,
yes.
they They each get one, or the first person gets both? Okay. Alrighty, so this is our second pop quiz for the webinar. And the first person who is able to answer correctly, actually in this situation, the first two people who are able to answer correctly will both receive a free course from VADO. So quiz number 2 for this webinar is, what is one way or one best practice to structure the 70%? Go ahead and type your answer into the chat panel on your GoToMeeting panel on the bottom. Okay, and as I get the answers, Cindy, I'll read it to you. I have the first answer so far, and let me know if this is the correct one. We have the first answer as doing it.
And when they say doing it, whoever wrote that in, when you say doing it, what do you mean doing it on the job?
Nancy, if you can go ahead and clarify that, we'll see if you're the winner before I go on to the next answer we have. And Nancy says yes, doing the task on the job.
There you go. We'll give her one of the prizes.
Okay, congratulations, Nancy. That's excellent. And I will, if you can just put your email address in the chat feature, I'll email you information about the course and how to access it. Cindy, we have a second answer. The second answer is from Phil, and his answer is showing it.
And by showing it, do you mean video?
Or Phil, what live demonstration, Phil says. Live demonstration.
Okay, we'll give that to you.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, congratulations, Phil, as well. You're a winner of today's contest from the webinar. So Nancy and Phil, congratulations. Nancy, thank you for submitting your email address. Phil, if you will also put your email address into the chat feature, I will email you information about how to access your winning course from VADO. Thank you both for participating.
Great. And I'm fast forwarding to the, here's one of the prizes. We have the other prize slide earlier in the slide deck. Any questions for today?
If you have any questions at all for Cindy regarding the 70-20-10 or any other courses that you might want to ask Cindy if she has available through the Cogno Marketplace, feel free to submit those questions, again, on the chat feature of your GoToMeeting panel. Just take a couple minutes or a minute or so and see if anyone has any questions before we carry on. Okay, we have no questions coming in. Oh, well, this question doesn't have to pertain to the content, but Phil, yes, we will be sending an email after the webinar with a link to our to the recording on our YouTube channel. So yes, you will be able to watch this again.
Excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for participating in our 70-20-10 webinar. And again, you're invited to join our LinkedIn discussion group or download the 70-20-10 guide. And Kat, I'll let you talk about the free offers.
Thanks so much, Cindy. Really, I do appreciate the informative session today. As a reminder, everyone, I will be emailing you an email with a 30% discount on all of the VADO courses that we have available in our marketplace, as well as the link to the recording of the webinar. So if you wanted to review it again or pass it along to any of your colleagues or friends who are not able to attend today, you'll have that link. Also, I'm going to go ahead and include the link for the resources that Cindy mentioned. She has her LinkedIn group as well as the guide. So I'll include that in that email. So be sure to look into your email box for an email from me later. If you happen to think of any other questions pertaining to the 70-20-10 model, and you wanted to get those over to Cindy, if you happen to have captured her email address on screen, feel free to email her directly or email us directly, info@cogno.com. So I do want to thank you all again for attending today's webinar, and I look forward to seeing you at the next Cogno webinar event. Thank you so much and have a great day.